Welcome to Make Shit Happen. My guest today is Frank Agin. Frank, thank you so much for connecting me. Thank you for taking the time and joining us on this Make Shit Happen podcast. Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to make shit happen.
All right, let's do it. Frank, I know you're a founder and president of Amsbury Business Connection. But tell our audience, tell our listeners, people who are watching you on YouTube, that who is Frank Agin and what is Amsbury Business Services or Business Connection?
Yeah. I used to be an attorney, and I went into private practice. I was looking for ways to get business. One of the things I did was join a networking organization. There was one here in Columbus, Ohio, and it made total sense and it worked really well for me. And in the early 2000s, 2003, I had a chance to buy it, and I did. So what we do is we help entrepreneurs, sales reps, professionals become more successful by connecting to people, information, and opportunities.
Perfect. So is it more like a consulting based business, or,
No,
what is it?
It's very similar to BNI, if you're familiar with BNI.
For people who are not, can you tell us what is that basically?
What's BNI?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you don't know what BNI is, we're a membership-based organization.
Okay.
People join, and then they go to weekly meetings where they connect with people that they see every week. Those groups are made up of one person in each category. Mm-hmm. And through the meeting, it's a structured meeting, meaning it follows a certain cadence to it. Through that meeting, people learn about each other. They get to know, like, and trust each other, and they learn ways of helping one another.
Okay, so they basically share ideas, and like something might work in this business, a certain practice, and then they try to take that, or basically more like a mentoring, or maybe not even a mentoring, more like a brotherhood kind of thing, just like helping each other, getting ideas, get to know each other, send referrals, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more about referrals, basically saying, hey, Sam, if you hear one of your clients say this, think of me. Here's what you need to say. You're delivering furniture, and their carpet's discolored. You can mention that, we can clean it or we can recolor it.
Right. I got it. So basically more like referrals, but they get to know each other, trust each other, like each other. Yep. And that's what it is. And that's very important when you do business with somebody, right?
Yeah.
People buy from people they like and they trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so that's good. So how long have you been doing that? Since 2003, but you were in the group before, I'm assuming.
Yeah, since 95.
95. Okay. So wow, it's a long run, 26 long years.
Yeah. Yeah. I have people in the organization who weren't even born when I started doing it. So yeah.
Frank, someone who's hearing this, they're like, well, you were an attorney, and which is a really good profession. And why did you decide to go with this, with the Amsbury Business Connection? You have to go find customers. You have to do all this stuff, and then organize groups and evenings and weekends. And why? What would you say?
I like helping people, and it was a different way for me to help people. The legal profession certainly is a good profession, and I would have done fine with it. But there are thousands of attorneys out there, and they're kicking out thousands and more every year. And this is something that was very unique, and something that I could have a unique impact on the world. So that's why I chose to do it.
Okay. And so this is something you liked, and that's a good way to put it. You can probably impact more people. What are a couple of things that you like tell businesses, because you have a lot of people in your organization, a lot of businesses. So what are some of the practices you preach on, or is there something you would like to share with us?
No, I could talk for 10 shows on, things that people need to do. I mean, you said it. People like to do business with they know with those they know, they like, they trust, and that's very
Right.
true. But what I find is that people, generally speaking, are pretty good at getting themselves known, liked, and trusted. We're all good people. We're all out there trying to do good in the world. Where people really get tripped up in business and losing out on referrals is that people, they don't do a good job of educating people on how they can help them, what they're looking for, who they can refer them to. And a lot of times what they're doing is they talk in what I call jargon. The realtor will start talking about, the attorney or the financial advisor will talk about things that people don't understand.
Uh-huh.
So I can't, if I don't know what you're talking about, I can't help you. The other thing that people do, which is, they talk about what they do rather than when they do it. For example, a realtor might say, I help people buy and sell houses. Well, I get that. I know that. But when does that happen? When are people buying and selling houses? Well, when somebody's newly married or just had a child living in an apartment, that's a when. When somebody is looking to diversify their investments and want to get some rental real estate, that's a when. When somebody has married off their last child and now are an empty nester, that's a when. When somebody's looking to buy a vacation home closer to the beach or the lake, that's a when. So I educate people or try and encourage people. Don't tell me what you do. Tell me when you do it. Talk about the whens, when people are doing these sorts of things. And there's always a pattern there. Even in your business, there's a pattern. People are buying furniture. At some points, it's just not, it's not all the time. There's something happening. They're
Right.
moving,
Some kind of life event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so why is it so important that you preach that? Don't tell me what you do. Tell me when. I mean, tell me when. When does it occur? Why?
Yeah. Well,
What is the reason behind it?
well, the reason behind it is that when you talk about the whens, we'll pick on the realtors, right? If the realtor tells me, hey, listen, if you know of somebody who's living in an apartment and just had a child, what that does is it triggers my brain to go through a mental Rolodex, all the people I know, all through my database, and say, well, who might I know? If you say, hey, I just help people buy and sell houses, my brain's not doing that. So I'm not thinking, and so to the extent we can be a little more specific and talk about those situations, we become better able to get people to help us.
Right. So so that's why I like when you said, tell me people who are having little kids or someone who is getting married. And of course, it does. Right when you said that, I started having a mental Rolodex. So it's it's kind of crazy. Same thing, with AC business, same thing with any other business. So that's a good practice to definitely to have. Anything else that you teach them or tell them that we can, our audience can learn or have a tip, on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as referrals go, the other thing I'll tell people is tell people 30-second stories, right? Just a quick little story about somebody you're working with. I'm an attorney, and just this last week, I helped a client. They were going to be leasing office space, or they were going to be leasing a building. And I sat down with them and I looked at the lease with them, and we found different ways that they could save money or they could have things removed from the lease. That again gets people's minds thinking, okay, who do I know who might be doing leasing? So that's just certainly something else we touch on.
Absolutely. I like it. What is there like any advice that how people can become more successful if they're in business? Someone is listening to this and they're like, I like this, what Frank said about, don't tell me what you do. Tell me when does that occur?
Yeah.
Is there any other advice that you can give me? I just started a small business. I want to be successful. I want to do well. I want to have good life for me and my family. Any more advice that you can give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the simple advice is this, and it'll come in a find ways to help other people. You know, if you're an attorney starting out in practice, go out and talk to the banker, go talk to the accountants and find out ways you can help them.
Uh-huh.
You know, talk to the insurance agents. How can I help you? Because what a lot of people do in business is they get in business and they start knocking on your door and saying, hey, send people to me, do something for me. Well, what do you want to do? You want to close the door, you want to send them packing, right? I don't want to, you know, business is hard. I don't know your business, but I know every day you have a challenge. You have a fire you're trying to put out, an employee or whatever it is. It changes day to day, but every day, and tomorrow you'll have one. It's every day, right?
Right.
And so you're not necessarily going to be, oh yeah, come on in, let me solve your problems, right? I got my own. But if somebody were to come to you and just say, hey, listen, I just wanted to come say hello, you know, learn a little bit about your business and maybe find ways that I can help you when I'm out there talking to my clients, you're going to be like, yeah, come on in, let's have a cup of coffee. I have 10 minutes for this. So that's the first thing I would say is find ways that you can help other people, find ways that you can contribute to the community. You know, for somebody like you, for example, you might have you might put out a newsletter or have something on your website that says, if you're looking to buy furniture, here are the 10 questions that you need to ask. You might buy from me or not buy from me, but whoever you buy from, ask these questions because these are really important questions. And people are going to look at that and say, huh, yeah, those are important questions. That's Sam. He's a really nice person for putting these things out. I don't have to buy from him. I get this information, but I'm going to go ask these questions. The other thing I tell people is somebody new in business, get involved in your community. I don't know who's listening. I don't know where you live, but I'll tell you right now, there's a school that might need volunteers, right? There's some sort of community organization that needs volunteers. There's homelessness. There's all sorts of things out there that need help. And when you get out and volunteer, people see you do that and they can't help but want to help you in return.
Like, so people like when other people are serving.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever it is.
A lot of people might say, well, I'm so busy building my business and you want me to go volunteer time. I don't have any time. What would your message be to them?
Well, this is part of growing your business. This is part of, that's how you have to look at it. Don't look at it as a distraction. Because, I mean, Sam, think about it. Let's say there's a homeless initiative in your town.
Right.
And you go out there and you're going to help, whatever it is, you know, you're going to, you know, but when you're going there to help, you're not going to be there alone. You're going to be there with other people who have the same passion you do about homelessness or about hunger.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be rubbing elbows with them, trying to solve this problem. And at some point, they're going to look at you and say, what do you do? Oh, sell furniture. You know, I've got the shop down there. You might have your shirt on. You know, I do this, this, and this. You know, thank you for asking. When they're in a need or know somebody who's in a need, who are they going to think of? The big box store? No, you. I like this guy. He did so.
You just touched on something. You said, well, you might have your shirt on. How important it is for people to go when they're doing these community service or something else. How important it is for them to brand themselves and to market themselves out there?
You know, I don't know that it's terribly important. You know, I'm relatively dressed up today. I don't have a tie on. But when I go out and do volunteer work, I'm not branded, right?
Huh?
What I find is that people figure it out. Wow, I like that Sam. What's he about? You know, somebody's going to know and somebody's going to talk to somebody. Eventually, everybody knows who you are. So you don't necessarily have to brand yourself. I think it's helpful, but it's not imperative.
Okay. But it's helpful.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, if there's somebody who said, hey, you know what, I just opened up this, let's just say a small furniture store. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, I mean, you know, they sell furniture to the community, you know, and they're out there helping the community, homeless people or people who are down on their luck. You know, you're saying that that definitely other people notice, and that's how you can grow your business. And to recap, you're saying don't take volunteering or helping or even going to the school, just going to the school and doing whatever community service they can provide. Don't take that as a distraction. Take that as a service. And does that basically goes in like giving back kind of
Yep.
principle?
Yep.
Okay.
That's
And
it.
so why do you think giving is so important?
Well, there's a couple reasons. One, let's not call it giving, let's call it adding value. When
Okay.
we add value, people are hardwired to add value back to us. It's just human nature. I see you doing this. I feel good about you. I want you to be successful. I want to try and help you too. That's the first thing. But the other thing is when we do good things, our body gives off, or our system, our body within our internally, this hormone, this drug called oxytocin. And oxytocin is known as the bonding drug. It's what we feel happy when we're falling in love and things like that. That's oxytocin.
Mm.
Well, what oxytocin does is it makes us happier. Do you work harder when you're happy or sad? You work harder when you're happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oxytocin makes us healthy. You work harder. Are you more at your best when you're healthy or sick? When you're healthy, right?
Okay,
The
yeah.
other thing is that oxytocin makes us courageous. You're more willing to pick up the phone and make that one more phone call when you're feeling good about yourself. So when we do good for other people, we get this feel good thing back that enables us to be more successful. And then you just kind of keep riding that momentum of doing things. In fact, what I tell people, if you're having a bad day, what I recommend is take a deep breath and go do something for somebody. Get online, make a nice comment on somebody's post, call somebody up and say, hey, I just really want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you've done. I just, not here for anything. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate your business and the business you've sent me over the years. That's all I wanted to say. And they'll be totally floored. You'll feel good. And that won't change whatever problem you have, right?
Right.
But it'll make you feel better about who you are and what you're doing. And they'll feel better
Yeah.
about it.
Absolutely. Basically, what you're saying is giving starts the receiving process. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, so giving starts the receiving process. I mean, it's always good to give back. It's always, I mean, life is all about giving. I mean, I
Yep.
totally believe it. I mean, and giving doesn't have to be monetary, right?
No.
Time is, I mean, your time is more valuable than anything.
Yep. Yep.
I got a saying that I always tell people, you know, time is more valuable than money because we live in a rich country. We can make money if we lose money, right?
Yep.
You drop $200, out of your pocket, or you lost your wallet, $200-300. You'll be sad for a little bit, but you can replace that money. The only thing you can't replace is
Time.
time.
I agree. Totally
So,
agree.
so definitely, I mean, that time is good. Given, it doesn't have to be always monetary. It can be time, and I love that. Now you had earlier told me about you also, before the interview we were talking, you said about raising the level of exposure. Would you expand on that?
Well, when you're out doing things in the community, when you're helping other people see that. They notice that. We as humans we're in tune to people who are helping others because we need those sorts of people in our lives. So that raises your level of exposure in the community. The people who serve in a community organization, other people know who they are. It's like free advertising.
Yeah.
It's free. It's great exposure. People are talking about you in a very positive way.
Now, Frank, I know that you have authored several books and a foundational network uh, creating no like and trust for a lifetime of ordinary success, of extraordinary success. Tell us a little bit about this book, if you don't mind. I mean, give our listeners a little, like, what is this book about, and what 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 enticed you to write that book?
Well, what enticed me to write it is that I saw people who were really successful in networking, and I saw people who struggled in networking. And it was very curious to me because the people who often struggled or you thought were doing the right things. They're at events, they have a wonderful 30-second commercial. They're very outgoing, but they still struggled. And then there were people who did very well, and they didn't have a very good commercial. They didn't necessarily present themselves well. What it really comes down to is that when we talked about this earlier, people do business with they know, like, and trust. Right. They don't care that you can't talk in complete sentences. If they know you, they like you, and they trust you, they want to do business with you. They'll figure out a way. So what the whole book is about is giving people ideas on how they can be better at building relationships, better at creating know, like, and trust. For example, one of the aspects in the book talks about altruism, being giving. And we talked about it. There's lots of ways to give to other people, being encouraging. Somebody's down, you have an employee who's down, listen, hang in there. That's giving. Another aspect of the book, it talks about integrity, being reliable, doing the things you say you're going to do, be to work on time, be to meetings on time. Those are things. Giving other people credit when credit is due. Those are things that go and build our relationships with people. And that's what the whole book is about, is like, focus on having great relationships with people, and the business will come.
Focus on having good relationship with business. That I like that. I like that. Focus on having good relationship with people, and the business will come. Anything else in this book that you would like to share right now with our audience in a Cliff Note version?
Well, this is what I tell people. Become the person you want to network with. If you're looking for that person out there that's very courageous, that person who's giving, that person who's just a good person, be that person. Okay. Don't wait for that person to come into your world. Oh, geez, if I only had this person in my life.
Yeah.
Well, you can be that person. And when you become that person, you'll attract people like that to you.
So, Frank, the whole book is about the foundational networking. So tell me, there's a lot of people get in business and they want to network. And some people are like, man, I don't have time to network. I'm busy at my business. How important do you think is networking?
Well, we all network. We people say we all need to make sales. If you're in business, you need to make sales. And, unless you have a business where you have no competition, you need to be out there connecting with people. You need to have people sending you business. Yeah, we're all business. We're all very busy, but we need to make time for relationships. We need to make time to, connect with other people who can send us business. Yeah, you may be really busy now, but that's not always going to be that way. Realtors are really busy now. The real estate market is crazy. It's not always going to be that way. So when it changes, it's almost too late to start building relationships. And the successful networkers out there, what they're going to do is, or the successful business people, is they're going to build relationships even when things are going great. Because they know
it's just basically like the same kind of principle that businesses, they need to advertise when they're even busier. Don't just wait till the well dries down. Because then it's too late. So just like that, I mean, not everybody can just afford to be on TV. So that networking is basically their advertising vehicle, but they're doing it with time. They're doing it with their skills, and they're going over there and being social.
Yep.
just to make sure that they can bring that. Basically, so what I'm hearing is like, networking is more like advertising, you know,
Yeah.
and marketing, putting yourself out there,
Yep.
letting people know why they should do business with you, because, and people do business with people they know, they like, they trust. So
Yep.
got it. Made it a little better for me. You also have a couple of podcasts
I
that
do.
you host. Tell our audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have two podcasts. One is called Networking RX, RX for prescription signal symbol. Um, and what we do on the podcast is we talk about different aspects of networking and building relationships. There's science out there are studies out there are just aspects of having better relationships with people we talk about and interview people related to. And then I have a 1-minute daily podcast called Networking RX Minute, which is just a 1-minute little tidbit of inspiration or advice on becoming a better person.
Got you. So basically, and these podcasts can be found anywhere people can listen to podcasts, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you just go on Apple Podcasts or Amazon or whatever podcast, and
Yep.
put the RX Min, which here, what the name again was, Networking RX Minute, which is the minute, or Networking RX, which is the short form, and it goes for what, about 20-25 minutes, the short form.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
perfect. Do you bring on guests over there, or is it more like a solo?
No, I do bring on guests. I bring on guests a couple times a week, usually, to talk about two things, things that they're working on with respect to networking, or I'll also bring on people who are successful to talk to them about how they build their business using relationships.
Okay, got it. Frank, it said on your bio that you wrote several books. What other books what are there? If
Yeah,
you don't mind naming them.
I wrote a book called Networking RX, which is kind of like the podcast and the same name as the podcast. I wrote a book called The Champion, which is a fable book talking about or a parable book talking about how somebody became a good networker for all the right reasons. I've written books on, I wrote another book called The Giving Journal, which advocates people keeping a journal of the things that they do, just as a means of helping them do more. Co-wrote a book about LinkedIn.
Tell me about that. Let's talk about that journal book real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
So, that's, I was, a lot of people say, well, keeping a journal is very important. Planning your day is very important. And you wrote a book about it. So I want to, if you don't mind, I want to get your perspective on that.
Well, no, I think, and you give me an address, I'll send you a copy. I'll be happy to send you a copy. It's
Okay.
a short, quick
I appreciate
read.
it.
Yeah. But what I advocated in the book, and this is really what got me going on helping other people, is every time I was do something for somebody, volunteer, give somebody encouragement, give a referral, I would put the date in, I would write it down. Sam, I'm not keeping score. If I do something for you, I won't ever say anything about it ever again. The journal is for me to look at and for me to know what I'm doing or not doing. And a journal can be as simple as just a pad of paper, or you can go buy something at the store for $1. But what the journal does is, when you look at it and you see the date, we're recording today, it's December 9th. If I'm looking at that 4 days from now and I haven't done anything, that journal is calling to me to say, you know what, you need to do something. You haven't done something. So what happens is it inspires you to do more things because you want to add something to the journal. Every time you add something to the journal, it's like a little win in your life. And in time, you become more in tune to opportunities to serve other people.
Got you. I like that. So journal is more for you to make sure that don't stop, keep going. What about writing? Like, a lot of people said journal like your goals or what do you want to do for the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's important as well. I do those sorts of things. We'll sit down and say, okay, this is what I'm going to try and accomplish today. I think that's important. When you write it down, it's a promise to yourself, and you don't want to break that promise to yourself.
Got you. And you before the day ends, you probably like, hey, you know what? I haven't done this.
Yeah.
Check this. I got it. All right. And then you said you wrote a book about LinkedIn.
Yeah, this was probably 12, 13 years ago. Wrote a book about LinkedIn. And the gist of the book is, to be successful on LinkedIn, you need to do the same things you do in the real world. Help other people, contribute value. You don't get on, you wouldn't walk into a room and say, hey, it's me, come do business with me, right? So don't do it on LinkedIn. Be there and add value. People will figure out who you're about.
Got you. So, and you are based out of, is it Ohio?
Yes.
So you're based out in Ohio. And Frank, tell me something like, besides the business you do, whatever, a lot of time, like business owners, they have a lot of stress, but they always have a ritual, a habit that they practice. Is there anything that you practice or you preach people, hey, you know what, you should do this, to be successful in life, in personal life, in business life? I mean, a message out there.
Yeah. Different things work for different people. I get up early. I'm out of bed before 5 o'clock in the morning, and I go for a walk, and get exercise in. I do that with my wife. We talk. I think it's like anything, have relationships, keep your family close, keep your friends close. I certainly try and do a lot of that.
Okay. And so if you will have a message for somebody, what would it be?
As far as being
Yeah,
successful.
like, would you say like, hey, you know what, adopt something like a habit, a sports, something,
Yeah,
or have like a routine, like what would you say?
Oh, definitely have a routine. I think you definitely have a routine. Write down your goals. Write down your goals before you go to bed every night, because then they churn in your brain. Write down positive thoughts. Think about those things, and make that a ritual of continuing to do those sorts of things.
You said write down positive thoughts. Is that important to write down or think positive? Is
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
why?
well, what you think is what you end up doing,
Okay.
what you end up saying, and so. I'll tease myself or, and joke about things, but I try to be positive. Hey, I'm a good person. I try to have an impact on the world. I remind myself of that, and that helps me look for opportunities to have an impact on the world.
Gotcha. And I mean, sometimes, people, you become what you believe, kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you believe you're sick, then all of a sudden
Yeah, you're gonna be sick, right?
you're
Absolutely.
sick, right? I mean, so I mean, that's absolutely right. I agree with that. Frank, I really want to thank you, and I appreciate your time and coming and sharing with us, uh, you know, what you do, and some of the messages and some of the practices that have made you successful and that have made your clients successful, other businesses. But before you go, we always ask this question to all our guests. Let's imagine that you happen to live for a long time, but you have come to the stage of life that you got to go and move on to the next world, and some for some weird reason you got to take everything that you have done with you, all the podcasts, all the YouTube recording, all the LinkedIn posts, all the books you wrote, everything. Okay, but they say, hey, listen, Frank, here goes a pen and a paper. Write down three things for the future world, and that can be your three truths, your three keys to greatness, three ways for someone to live life. This can be for the future world, your future generations. Just leave something over here on this earth for us from Frank Agin. What will it be, Frank?
Yeah, I would certainly say help your fellow man would be the first thing. And
And
that
would
would,
you mind expanding on that?
Well, just, find ways to help people. I've talked about volunteering, giving to other people, being encouraging. That would certainly be the one thing, that would probably be the only thing I would have on the list. Just find ways to serve other people. It's kind of like in the Bible, the 10 Commandments, and the two most important are, love God with all your heart, and the second is, love your neighbor. And you love your neighbor, everything's going to be fine. It'll all work out, because your neighbors will take care of you if you're a good person. So,
yeah. So you said you got that one, which is, find ways to help other humans. Is there anything else?
Well, that covers a lot of territory. Well, certainly take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Would certainly be something. And then, with respect to money, I would say be careful with your money. You may have a lot of money now, but that's not always going to be the case. And, just be careful with your money. You can always give it away at the end if you need to.
Mhm.
But if you run out of money, then you really got a problem.
So, and I appreciate that. A lot of people sometimes say, man, I'm not going to take my money with me, so I might as well, spend it. A lot of people, they don't save the money. They
No.
spend it frivolously. As fast as they get it, as fast as they spend it.
Yeah.
You just said, be careful with your money. You might have some money today, you will not have, some later, and you don't want to be caught with no money.
Yeah.
What are your perspective? I mean, I see that, what you're saying. Would you mind expanding to our people, and can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, at some point in time, you have to stop working, right? I mean, or you don't want to work as hard as you do. And so you want to have money that you can enjoy life. You want to have money, most of us have kids. You want to have money that you can help them out with to make their lives a little easier. And so that's why it's just good to be careful with your money, because you just, your business could be gone tomorrow. My business could be gone tomorrow. And you need a cushion to figure out what's the next thing you're going to do. So,
right.
Oh,
I mean, situations like COVID can happen, right?
yeah.
And I mean, some states were shut down for months.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the money, then I mean, you SOL,
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I like what you the last message. Be careful with your money. I mean, I'm a big advocate of it, that don't spend everything you make. Save 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people sometimes might not understand. They might think you're not being thrifty, or you're not being just a spendthrift, but you at the same time you can't spend everything you make. I mean, you gotta keep some for the rainy days. I appreciate that. Before I let you go, last question. What is your definition of greatness?
Well, my definition of greatness is just having impact on the world and having people look at you and say, you know what, they led a good life. That's greatness.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for donating your time. Thank you so much. And we appreciate it. Now let's go out there and make shit happen.